New Year still, right? It's still January. So I was thinking January, vision, forecast, what's going to happen. So I came up with what will tomorrow bring? And following my inner compass, which we all have. We might be all headed in the same direction, headed towards the same goal, but each one of us has our own unique course, our own unique responsibilities, our own unique path that we follow in order to get to the same goal. Anyway, I have to tell you that I was really, what can I offer this morning as a message? And last Friday, I've been watching the morning devotions from Capitol Hill. I'm not on there at 6 a.m. like a lot of folks are. I watch it later in the day for inspiration. And last Friday, there was, to me, a very profound message and insight that was given by our brother, Levi Doherty. And the message that they were reading from True Mother's memoir was regarding the Danbury situation. And I was thinking, how many of us were there when the Danbury course was going on? Some of us, not everybody, but some of us were. And Levi will touch on it, and I want to show that clip of his message, which is about 10 minutes long, but I feel that it is significant. But what he touches on are a few points, and one of them is that, as children, kids, when they watch their parents, they kind of are watching from a certain perspective, but they really don't understand what the actual situation is that perhaps any parent is going through. They're seeing their kids work hard every day, and they're seeing their kids, their parents perhaps go through certain difficulties, but the kids don't really get the whole big picture. And that is one thing that Levi refers to in this message that he gives. And I can definitely relate to that, because when Danbury that whole court case was going on, I remember, I believe I was in the seminary at a certain point, we were asked to go down and to be in one of the court hearings. Anyway, I was there, and I was participating as kind of a warm body in a sense, kind of watching this situation going on, and I knew that, of course it was a serious matter, but my own emotional situation was not feeling a sense of urgency, not feeling how incredibly traumatic this actually is, not only for the True family itself, but for the whole nation of America and for the entire world, actually, that our True Father went this course of Danbury. So Levi will touch on that perspective. And as well, I think I gave this brief testimony once before, but when Father was in Danbury, I happened to be in New Hampshire at that time, and responsible for the state of New Hampshire. So the Korean leader at that time invited us, or asked us to come down to East Garden and go to the Holy Ground there at East Garden, and then perhaps meet with True Mother. And so we did that. And again, I was following the direction of the central figure and participating in this event, but my own emotional state of mind was not at all in a sense of urgency and how incredibly traumatic this actually was. So we did have the prayer meeting, and then the next morning we met with True Mother at the dining room table there. And I cannot put into words the persona or the character that she had at that time. She said, this is the last place I want to be, is having breakfast together with you. She didn't say it in a spiteful way or a resentful way, but very matter of fact, this is the last place I would like to be, is sitting at this table with you having breakfast. But I am following the example of Father, who in the most difficult situations, the most traumatic situations, the most stressful situations, is always thinking of others. So she's following the example of Father, and so she invited us to have breakfast with her, when actually where she really wanted to be was with Father. And she was leaving right after that to go to Danbury to visit Father at that time. Anyway, so I would like to share this And the only way I know how to get there is going here.
All right, Jason, very nice. Good.
Empty and insecure. You don't know what to do. And on a general, natural way to feel. It's a general, natural way to feel. However, when you are working with the absolute true parents, God's own daughter and son, God's own divine family that was set aside for this time, waiting 6,000 years for the final moment to come. And when you think the final moment is here and everything is going well, then Satan strikes. And not just lightly, severely, where if you completely remove the head, the leader, then they hope that everything else will fall apart. But in the process, our true mother rose for the first time to take the leadership position while father was in Danbury prison. She took that leadership position because she was the mother. And somehow, mothers are strong in this, they gain strength from another source. From men gain their strength from their natural ability of being a man in a masculine position. But women, I've noticed down through the years, they gain strength from someplace higher than that, where they can rise above the situation, and they do it every time. So the mother began to take the lead position in our movement for the first time. We all were like, what's going on? And mother would give us a daily diet of what was happening in Denver as she received it from father. But the main thing is we must go home. So I remember very clearly the civil rights leaders stepped up to the plate as well at that time. And when we got the message that Dr. Bogie Park was kidnapped, it was unbelievable. I mean, how can that happen? We had no idea of the severity of our situation with the Communist Party. Because we all divided into some doing fundraising, some witnessing this and that, working on different projects, and you're not so involved in all the intricate details of what's happening behind the scenes. Excuse me. But then we get these words, it's like, what's going on? And I remember when the civil rights leaders would come in, and we began to take them over to Capitol Gardens and teach them, help them to understand the value of this time. And our father's in Danbury prison, and he's paying for everything. Inviting the ministers to come so they don't get caught up in the same situation, and taking them to Capitol Hill to meet their senators and congressmen, which most of them never had. Didn't know who the senator or congressman was. We met them and talked to them, and of course, we had a lot of people who were trying to help, and many times just getting in the way because they wanted some equal violence or something like this. And we were about peace. So we would go in front of the White House and we'd march in peace and light candles and put our handcuffs ourselves to the railings and pray. That moved the heart of the Black church in the country in a powerful way. And they came to Father's aid. And at that time, Mother appointed Indian to speak where she could not speak in her behalf in many cases. So I want to close at this point by saying, faith is more important many times than belief. We believe in Father, we believe in He's a true parent, we believe that He's the Messiah, whatever we believe. But if we don't have faith in time of trouble, when things are dim and we cannot see our way, and the leaders that we depended on are now in captivity, and our great leader, Father, is now where He cannot help us, what do? We have to understand our true value and work together in faith. Never look back, never doubt, never wonder, just keep marching forward. I leave you with this story. I always wondered why we chose the eagle as our national symbol. I thought many times we should have chosen the buffalo, because the buffalo is truly an American symbol. And the quality and the characteristics of a buffalo, American buffalo, when the storm comes, they gather all of the young ones and the mothers and put them in the middle in a circle. And they turn around and they face the storm. They put their head down and keep moving towards the storm until they pass through it. They never run away from the storm. In our lives, when we have storms like Father in Danbury and Bowie Park and mothers being vulnerable in a situation where she has to take over a whole entire movement heretofore that she didn't have the power to do or wasn't necessary to do. Now she has to stand and get this work done. That's the characteristics of the American buffalo. And brothers and sisters, I just say that maybe hard times will come again. Our job is to do what God asks us to do and never fail. If we can witness, not in the sense of trying to get a spiritual child, but in the witness of saving the world. Because if we don't do it, our true parents become vulnerable again. So I just want to say that this morning's reading brought back many, many memories for me, working with ministers and civil rights leaders and waiting for directions to come from our true parents, what's the next step and the next step. So let's keep marching forward, brothers and sisters. We have to build the kingdom.
Thank you. Anyway, I received a lot from that video. I felt that Levi's explanation, especially I caught where he says, belief and faith, and the difference of that. I always thought the reverse, but actually, when I Googled belief and faith in modern usage differ chiefly in that belief as a rule suggests that little more than intellectual assent. Faith implies, in addition, the element of trust or confidence. For example, in whom, I don't know what CF means. Does anybody know what CF means? Anyway, in whom persuasion and belief had ripened into faith. So, converting that to my own life experience or belief experience, you know, we're told things like we're living in the era of Cheon Il Guk. Do I believe that, or do I have faith in that? That's a big question for me. Do I believe, okay, I've been told we're living in the era of Cheon Il Guk, wow, you know, what does that actually mean? Do I have faith that we're actually in a whole new era, that we are living according to a whole new spiritual reality, in a sense? We've entered a whole new era. It's a big question. There are many things I believe, I believe in true parents. Oh yeah, okay. Jesus said, right, when they said, I was with you, we had faith in you, and Jesus said, get behind me, you guys, where were you in the midst of all this? You believed in me, like Dr. Young used to tell us. The disciples believed in the miracles of Jesus. They believed in what he was doing. They believed in who he was, but did they really have faith that God was going to work through this man, that they should have faith enough to stay with him during, when he asked them to pray all night? No, they didn't have faith. They believed, but they didn't have faith. So this is quite significant to me, and I was grateful that Levi brought that up. I want to close with a quote that I found from True Mother, because in order to have more of a hopeful and positive perspective in, I think it's in the anthology book number 1, True Mother gives this incredible image, which I think is very valuable for us to stay with us today. And she says, in Hawaii, you can find banyan trees, and they're huge and so leafy, so they provide shade in the strong sun. People can rest under their branches. This tree does not grow toward the sky, but its branches extend down to the ground, and it produces numerous roots, which expand more and more horizontally, so the tree gets bigger and bigger. The branches reach down to the ground like roots to help the tree be strong. I have self-realizations when I look at the natural world our Heavenly Parent created. Like that tree, True Father explored wild and remote areas around the world, and he expanded his roots of love with numerous conditions of devotion. Johnson. He came as the true parent and created a foundation for victory for humankind for the first time in 6,000 years. But when looking around the world as a whole, we still see that there's so much more with our devotions and efforts that need to be. So it's a beautiful image. When we look at creation, as Mother says, there's so many lessons that we can learn. And hopefully, if we really exercise our faith, we can become banyan trees, like the banyan tree. So with that, I'd like to close. If you could join me in prayer. Our precious Heavenly Parents and our true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind. It is a remarkable era that we're living in, and even though we have certain conceptual or intellectual understanding because of our life of faith together with our true parents and understanding of divine principle, but our hearts are many times, I believe, weak in our life of faith. That if we really and truly put our faith in the precious words that are given to us and that have been explained to us for years and years, then we really could become the banyan trees that our true mother is talking about. Heavenly Parents, so please I pray that we can support each other, love each other, and create a community of love that can expand its roots, Heavenly Parents, and become more of the realization of this era that we talk about, the era of Cheon Il Guk. Thank you, and I report this prayer together with brothers and sisters. Jew.